Hello everyone and welcome back to Days of Professional, and today I'm here with Mr. Rajeev Dwivedi, a hardware engineer and an EV3 robotics coach. How are you doing here, Mr. Rajeev?
I'm doing fine.
And let's get straight into the questions. What would you say initially drove you to become a hardware engineer?
So I like to invent, design, build, and I'm always fascinated by machines. So obviously, right from my childhood. So obviously, engineering, especially the industrial automation and robotics, look like the preferred profession to me. So that's how I ended up being a hardware engineer.
hmm And what would you say was your first experience into the hardware engineering and the robotics field?
So while as an undergraduate student at IIT Guwahati, I got an opportunity to work as a summer intern at Division of Remote Handling and Robotics at Bhabha Atomic Research Center.
Mm-hmm.
That's in India. I got to implement a robot navigation automation using vision. So I
Mm-hmm.
was excited to see the range of robots, their novel features, including mechanisms uh, on mechanical side, but also the sensing, control, and intelligence. It all fascinated me. So this gave me first-hand experience with the real-life implementation of what I had learned in the college uh, or the books. So I liked it, and I was inspired to continue doing it.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say are what is some essential coursework which is required to become a hardware engineer?
So in my opinion, that will be engineering design and very good understanding of industrial controls, very good understanding of principles of electronics as they apply to industrial automation and programming.
Mm-hmm. And if you could give us like a quick like summary of what each of those courses have and what the content of those courses are actually are.
So in engineering design, you understand first of all how you can represent or how you can present your ideas in a manner that it can be replicated with the help of machines, how you can build different parts to assemble them as a machine. In engineering design, you also understand the principles such as material properties, uh, which includes the structural and thermal properties of those materials, because obviously for different tasks you use different type of materials,
Mm-hmm.
and not only metals but also plastic. Then in then you need to understand the principles of industrial controls, such as do I want to just send a control signal to the machine and that is adequate, or do I want to have some kind of verification of what the signal that I'm sending and machine is indeed doing exactly that. So feedback control. And when all these little sensors, actuators, and equipment come together, they all have to work in a harmony and in a well-defined pattern. So that is why a very good understanding of industrial controls is extremely important. Then comes electrical and electronic principle. Obviously, to drive our machines, most of the time we use electricity. We also use electricity to sense as well as send control signals. So very good understanding of electronics is important. And the last but not, I mean, one of the most important aspect of it is they have to work, all these equipment, all these pieces of equipment have to work in either sequential fashion, or there might be an implementation of if this happens, then do that. So that is where the programming aspect comes in. So to have very good understanding of programming is also very important to be a successful hardware engineer.
Mm-hmm. And using the courses that you just said, like engineering design and programming, could a student who have has already done stuff like this go into a different field other than hardware engineering, or is it like just specialized to hardware engineering?
No, the actually uh, the landscape of technology and in engineering in particular is changing. You'll be surprised to see many people from very diverse backgrounds becoming engineers, at the same time engineers taking those skills to many other diverse fields. So certainly the way engineering has come to be, actually, you uh, whatever you learn finds relevance in a lot of other fields as well. So it doesn't mean that you are like, if you learn a particular skill, you are tied to it. And thing is, the real learning happens in the industry. You get a fundamental introduction at the college or school level, but the real learning happens in the in industry or in the field. So that is where actually your ability to think out of box, your ability to be innovative, your ability to apply all these things you have learned to make
Hmm.
products or solutions um, becomes relevant. So yeah, it's not necessarily that if you train in a particular field, you are tied to it.
Hmm. And so you were talking about how you had done a summer internship while you were going through the workings to become an hardware engineer. So how would you say how important was your experience that you gained from that internship? How has that helped you in your current career paths?
Uh, so engineering is very actually, for that matter, pretty much all the subjects or all the fields, you'll they are more about application of what you have learned or finding the relevance of what you have learned in the classroom to the things around you or in the real world. So it certainly helped me. It opened my eyes to the possibilities. At the same time, a lot of things which I was learning in the classroom, they were either equations or sketches. But when I saw the real system where I could apply all those principles, or where those principles which I had learned found relevance, I was extremely excited. And then all those things which were bookish knowledge actually opened altogether a new door to the actual things that I
Mm-hmm.
could hold in my hand, things that I could control myself, and like, do these amazing things.
Mm-hmm. And how would you say coming out of college, what are some, in general, what are some problems that hardware engineers normally face?
So um, finding a workplace that offers enough challenges to keep you excited, that is one of the biggest challenges. And because most of the organizations and workplaces, they are built around a particular product or a nature of services.
Mm-hmm.
So the opportunity to invent may be limited, or it becomes limited around the products that they make. A second thing is, obviously, anytime you implement, you start with a new idea and take it to a product, there is a cost associated with it. There is a time and resources associated with it. So if you go with this thought that uh, like, every day I will come up with a new idea and design something based off that, and they will be you'll be doing something altogether new. uh, the real life is not like that. But within those, there's ample opportunity to innovate and create. uh, Said that, um, like, finding an organization that keeps you excited uh, uh, is one of the biggest challenges.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say are some key interests that a person needs to have while if they want to become a hardware engineer or if they want to go into robotics?
uh, so obviously, you have to start you have to inculcate this ability to think out of box, at the same time looking at things from many different angles. What may look like a piece of electronics with some wires running here and there, it also has many aspects to it, which includes there is a cost, there's a challenge in making sure that all the items are packaged in that form factor, then the user experience. So these are some of the examples. Why would you look at a product from many different angles? So ability to see a problem or a product from many different angles. uh, at the same time, ability to look at other person's point of view and being able to communicate what you think or what your ideas are, uh, is very important to be a successful hardware engineer.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say are some non-technical and technical skills which are very important to really be successful or interpret the job as a hardware engineer?
As I said earlier, actually, I said plenty
Yeah.
about the technical skills, but as far as non-technical issues are concerned, uh, one of the most important thing is ability to communicate rather complex ideas easily, because your customer, or many times you may approach a problem as an entrepreneur or within an organization when you reach out to your leadership to requesting them to invest in an
Mm-hmm.
idea that you come up with. So uh, ability to communicate it very clearly, because uh, you may be well versed with the technical aspects of it, but the business aspects of it, or the end user experience, to be able to connect your technical thoughts or technical solution to their expectations and get them excited,
Mm-hmm.
uh, will be key to your success. So communication. Next, next is being able to uh, work with a very diverse range of team members. So your team members can be some who are communicating directly with the customers, some who are manufacturing the product, some who are working on the shop floor, some people are involved in buying that material. So as you can see, there's a quite a wide range of skills in your team. At the same time, uh, what may happen is uh, you and another team member, like, even though they might be technical, you might have you might have difference in the approach. So to be able to work while accepting others idea, at the same time to be able to convey the virtue of your thought or your invention, and convincing rest of the people so that you can work in a team,
Mm-hmm.
is extremely important. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. And it's like really good to be open with everyone so that you can like take in ideas and really help your product to be better in general.
that's right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say are some challenges that you face on a daily basis, and how are you able to overcome them? Like you were talking about how you face complex problems on a day-to-day basis, and you really need to be able to solve them. So if you could give us an example of some of the problems you do face and how you're able to overcome them.
Okay. So teams that we work with, or the suppliers that we work with, as well as that the projects that we work on, they are ever changing. So for example, a new team member may join, or we may lose a certain skill in the team, or similarly a supplier may or may not be able to supply what you want, or they may not be able to manufacture uh, a particular piece of equipment for your machine. So you may assume that, yeah, it's not a big deal. Maybe supplier can make this part, but turns out nobody in near vicinity can make it, and it will be a very long time before you can receive that part. So things keep on changing every day. At the same time, business priorities are also changing. You may start with a product or a project which will make a significant difference, but within the overall corporations, within the overall organization, it may be realized that like probably there is an alternate technology that can that might be that can be customized for the same solution that you are trying to work with. Or they might get very excited about it, and they say, like, you know what, you are solving one problem, we see that actually the project or this system or machine that you're making, it can have much larger impact, so how about you expand the scope of it. So uh, so these things are changing pretty much every day. So
Mm-hmm.
by being able to be innovative, by being able to think outside box and adapting really quickly, uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you can be successful. So these are challenges, and this is how you can be successful. But one of the most important thing is, uh, like, learn and be aware of what is happening. um, be aware of what are the tools available which can make your job much easier. At the same time, what your competition is doing, and what is the demand of what the need of the market is. So being aware of all that will certainly help you excel in your field.
Mm-hmm. And going back to how you're saying if you can't find a particular part if it's not in the vicinity, what do you normally do? Do you like move on to another project or do you like sit and do your best to find that particular part?
Oh, you may have to redesign it. It turns out, say I make a part which was made out of aluminum, and then it is about 3 meter long. And turns out I do not have any manufacturing facility
Mm-hmm.
uh, in my vicinity that can machine 3 meter part. So immediately I have to start rethinking. What I would do is that particular piece I could break down into multiple pieces so that I can make it say in like 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, and join them together to make make
Mm-hmm.
my 3 meter assembly.
Right.
So that's what I was talking about, like out of box thinking. So so these are the things that we see on day to day basis, and you really have to be quick on coming up with alternate solutions.
Mm-hmm. And do these projects have like particular deadlines, or is just like as soon as you can finish it, it's the better?
Everything is driven by deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And along with being a hardware engineer at a big company, you're also a robotics coach that teaches the EV3 and VEX IQ for the World Robotics League. So how would you say you initially got into robotics? Like got into the EV3, got into the VEX IQ? Or was that just like you found it like it was something that you saw on the job and then you kind of went into it?
No, it's I not only work with EV3 platform pretty much with I'm working with or I work with the students on many platforms. In fact, we just recently invented a new board for World Robotics League in particular. I think in terms of what it can provide is ahead of most of the products in the market. Now, said that, I always had liked to teach. Actually, my father was a geography teacher,
Oh.
so so I always liked teaching. And apart from that, I was always driven by a desire to make an impact in the world, and I really wanted to identify a field where I can quantify the impact I had made. It's not just there are lot of there are many volunteers who do a lot of things, but it's very difficult to quantify. It's really, or the impact of their work. Uh, it may take uh, you know quite some effort and time before you are able to see the impact. So I wanted it to be extremely effective. So again, desire for education and willingness to make an impact in the world. So
Mm-hmm.
what I saw was there is a significant lack of vision, number of teachers and educators in the field of STEM as such. And I thought I could make a significant impact by bringing a very methodical approach to learning and exploring with the help of robot and similar equipments.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I had learned from some great teachers at my college and school, and I have experience across a range of cutting edge industries. And so they had prepared me really well to be able to engage as well as impart this knowledge to younger generation. So I started as a volunteer, then one thing led to another, and today, to my credit, I have some of the best teams that have been going to World Championship many years in a row. My students have like within high school, like they are publishing papers and inventing things.
Mm-hmm.
So that keeps me going, and I think that approach that I came up with is making the impact that I wanted.
Mm-hmm. And along with, again, going back to the skill set which is needed, do you think that obviously robotics and the hardware engineering are really like they're really combined together in what is needed to be successful in it? So would you say are there some specific things which you need for robotics which hardware engineering does not require?
Oh, certainly. Other than technical skills, uh, o- you should go as a teacher with a very open mind, prepare yourself really well, and understand what you are doing. It while the spirit of volunteering is great, but
Mm-hmm.
if a child is putting time and effort, make sure that you are, as a teacher, you are making the impact that the child deserves. Uh, and then, so that is a fundamental philosophy for with which you should be driven by. If you think you are not adequately prepared, despite the best intentions, like refrain from doing it. First, prepare yourself to teach.
All right.
Uh, but other than that, uh, to be able to connect with the kids, the patience and passion to make a difference, as well as having a very good understanding of child psychology and educational psychology is extremely important to be an effective robotics coach.
Hmm. So you would say like taking psychology or sociology would be really helpful, just like to be a teacher, to be teaching somebody along.
Uh, so not everything is available in books or colleges. There are a lot of things that come from experience.
Right.
So it will be very, if you want to be a pure educator, obviously there will be a path to getting trained, or there will be a formal path to getting trained. But if you are coming from the field of hardware engineering, be patient, go talk to other teachers, understand from them, like, what in their opinion is the most impactful way of teaching is. At the same time, sit down and think through it also. And uh, even as a teacher, you learn pretty much every day. So again, look very deep into way of your teaching. Always quantify, like even when you are working with the kids, even when you are working with the students and teaching them, always do that quantitative analysis that, hey, this is what I wanted to teach, but we could reach there. That means the way I'm teaching, it has to tweak, it has to change, or it has to improve, or wow, I'm accomplishing quite a lot, like within the small duration.
Mhm.
So maybe you can improve the efficiency by changing your tactics slightly. So as I said, look inwards all the time. Always question, always verify the way you are teaching. And again, all these things necessarily you won't find in college education. But yeah, in
Yeah.
general, understanding, child psychology and and talking to some experienced people certainly helps.
Hmm. And going back to how you were talking about how you always have to keep on learning and changing from your past experiences, how would you say, because technology has been moving crazy over the last decade or so, how often do you have to read up on new technologies so that you are able to go to the next day at your job and really perform at the level which is needed?
Yeah. So you learn pretty much every day.
Hmm.
So you always go with this attitude of a pure learner while while contributing. So you learn from your coworkers. You learn, um, many times some certain salespeople show up and they introduce you to a technology that you were not aware of. Read latest journals, uh, or technical publications in the field, and in general, keep your eyes and ears open. Many times you will find that there's a particular technology which is very popular in a particular field, but your field, nobody in the world has applied that technology in your field. But you start to think of it, you know uh, what I was talking about, looking at it with very open mind, at the
Right.
same time from many different angles, you might find that a technology being applied in one particular field
My.
might apply in yours. So uh, yeah, I mean, just go out there with an attitude of that, I'm going to learn something new.
Hmm.
So you pretty much learn every day, as I said. Yeah.
And where could you say students can find knowledge or information on this subject online?
So uh, I think as a student, you have access to the library, public library,
Hmm.
and through public library or even through your school, you will have access to the latest and greatest technical publications and journals. And I think most of the counties, if you request, they will make those publications available to you for free. So there are publications like IEEE Spectrum, which give an overview of whatever happened latest in the field, or even some of really good publications like National Geographic and all. Once in a while, they will bring amazing issues about what's happening latest. They will also dis- they will also describe the lab or the particular research lab, or where it is happening. Um, so yeah, these publications are some of the best places to keep yourself abreast of what's going on. And one of the best thing is there is not significant distraction. If you start looking online, you start reading an article and there is a link to another one, you click on there, and you
Right.
read this article fully and you jump to another one. So these kind of technical publications, the way they present is very well presented, to the point, and you get really deep and good appreciation of what's really that technology, or what exactly it is. So that's what I would suggest. IEEE Spectrum is one good one. And in general, if you have an interest in certain fields, say robotics and automation, uh, ASME, which is American Society of Mechanical Engineers, or SME, or IEEE, uh, all all of them have some issue pretty much, uh,
Mm-hmm.
like every, I believe, 2 to 3 months, on latest and greatest in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the beauty of these articles is not only there's a discussion about a particular technology or a topic. Towards the end, there's a range of references which talk about what are others doing in that field, or what has been done in that particular field. So you can look at some of the references as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I would suggest.
Mm-hmm. And along with those sources, how would you say high school students can keep up with the field of hardware engineering and robotics? Because I know engineering design and problem solving can be a course in some high schools, but they're not given in all high schools. So what would you say are some courses which would really benefit someone who would want to be be a hardware engineer in high school?
Uh, so this is what I would suggest is, but until high school, for most of the students, they haven't seen enough life to really making that judgment that they really want to be a hardware engineer. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for that matter, robotics, automation, all these sounds really great, but uh, you really don't know if it is, if it really is your thing. Now, said that,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, even when you are in high school, like, keep your eyes and ears open. Any opportunity you get to learn any interesting things, continue to do that. At the same time, uh, I think to prepare for something in technical field, I would say pick up few basic skills, such as, like, in designing, or some basic skills in electronics, some basic skills in programming, and then work on small projects, like, identify a little problem that, okay, I'm going to uh, build, a robot that can walk upside down, say, for example. And then start thinking, like, thinking about a design. Okay, and after that, okay, what will be the electronics that will be needed, what kind of programming that will be needed for it, whether, I understand that you have very limited time, and the project may not come to a conclusion in the specified time, but in that exploration problem, in that exploration process, as well as trying to solve a well-defined problem, you
Mm-hmm.
will learn the things in a very systematic manner. You will have a very good appreciation and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, those are all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for taking the time out today to come and talk to me. If you have any questions, I'll leave my email down below and feel free to email me any questions. And yeah, have a nice day. Take care.
Thank you.